Joining us now is the manager, A.J. Hinch. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing probably how you expect based on how we're doing.
Yes,
so we're hanging in there.
Yeah, I mean, patience is running low with a lot of us, but obviously you have to be more patient than us. I'll get, you know the stats. The offense, it's just completely unacceptable. It's disgusting when you look at the statistics and when you watch it. What is the biggest problem where this team just can't hit fastballs down the middle? It's just unbelievable to me.
Yeah, I mean it's been a problem. I mean, we're definitely near the bottom, if not at the bottom, against fastballs, and that is unusual. I know some of it's mechanical with our swing, some of it's approach, and some of it is psychological. I mean, it seems to have piled up a little bit. I mean, if you really take the emotion out of it, which is hard for all of us, whether you're involved on a day-to-day basis or whether you're following this team, it is unthinkable to see guys with a 470 OPS or a 450 OPS or a 500 OPS, very limited power. I mean, we're trying to find solutions rather than focus entirely on the drag of the process. But clearly any day needs to be the day that we can turn this thing around. I would warn everybody that we could have a good day today, and that the overall numbers are going to be bad for a while now. It's taken us plenty of games to get into this mess. It's going to take us plenty to get out. But we need to leave the ballpark today feeling like we took a step forward rather than either lateral or back.
How much of the blame goes on the player? How much goes on Scott Coolbaugh, your hitting coach, when you're talking about the mechanical side of hitting or the psychological side of hitting? How do you address both of those?
Yeah, well, all of us. I mean, I'm not all that fixated on blame, because we all we need to figure out a better message. Players need to figure out a better process, and ultimately are in the batter's box. I don't care who to blame. Like, the reality is we are not doing it. We're in the trenches together. We are all kind of blame us all or blame none of us. Obviously it's okay to blame all of us, because we all have a part in this, and we all are going to have a part in getting us out of this. And that's not usually an acceptable answer, because somebody wants to point the finger like, aha, that's the reason. That's not it. In sports, it's not it on this team. I'm going to back our guys and believe in our guys, and come out of this at some point feeling better, because we don't feel very good right now. You
sent Badu down to Toledo. When do you have to make a decision, or are you even thinking about sending Torkelson down? Because there's another one who's, he's fielding great, but those fastballs against stuff that it looked like when we saw, highlights of college and, in minor leagues. I know he struggled early at each level and then got going, but he's not even close in some of these.
Yeah, so they're different scenarios, but somewhat tied together. And I knew once we did the Badu move, it would all of a sudden circle other players, specifically Torque, and the questions were going to start to come, and it is individual based. I think right now, we still believe the confidence is okay. That's a good sign. But we need to see some progress, obviously. What that progress is, in the hitting more pitches, his swing decisions have been pretty good. His results have been bad. It's starting to wonder what we need to do as an organization to unlock some of these guys, not just Torque, but the other guys. But I get it. We'll figure out how to do it. This is an important homestand, and then next week we go down to Tampa. I mean, progress needs to be seen pretty soon, but at the same time, we've got to show some patience and know it's today the day that he gets back to driving the ball. It's today the day that he gets back to finding a hole or two. We've got to find progress.
With hitting and analytics, is it possible that there's so much information that these guys get that they don't know what to, and they're not just acting naturally, they're just trying to think too much? Is that possible?
Maybe. I think we can get a little bit too much analysis going on and slotting where you want the bat to come in and where you want your hands and your balance and the iPads, and you can get a little bit unathletic if you're not careful with hitting. I think analytics, it's interesting. I think the defensive side of it matters. We have not been that unlucky, but the defense analytics are really built for whoever's controlling the ball. Hitting is a reactive sport. Analytics is about when you control the ball, what do you do with it? Where do you play your players? it defensive efficiency, defensive awareness, where they're playing everybody. We've hit a few balls in Houston that were bullets into the gap, and somebody was standing right there. That's not an excuse because one hit's not going to solve it. But I think it's on both sides. I think the analytics help the defensive guys and probably hurt the offensive guys more.
When you make decisions of sending guys down to Toledo, like you did with Akil Baddoo, obviously as fans, we're hoping that there's somebody that can come and provide some relief. If you were to make that decision with Torque, and you mentioned there's a lot of different reasons and they're all different for each player, is there any help on the horizon if you send a player down to bring somebody up like a Cody Clemens?
Sure. No, I mean, it's the name that he played first base yesterday. I'm not sure he's a natural first baseman or even should be asked to play there every day. He plays other positions as well. I caution everybody to not say, hey, this guy's the savior, whether it's Cody or anybody else. I mean, I take you back a month, and it's so easy to be angry now, and we are in the clubhouse. But a month ago, what we thought about where guys were versus where they are right now. How much of this is patience? How much of this needs to be for us to make adjustments? I think we have to balance that. But a month ago, going into this, we're like, hey, Torque's a slow starter. Hey, he's going to handle the defensive side. He's going to hit for power. He did all of that, and then now, he's scuffling, pretty badly in the last 45, 50 at-bats. So a month ago, your perspective is completely different. How reactive you want to be is the balance. There's a downside to reacting too aggressively as well. It's not just, hey, every time something bad happens, we're going to flip somebody out and expect them to be better. We've got to stick with our guys a little bit, but balance that with some accountability if you don't perform.
But you mentioned a month ago the perspective was different. The reaction may have been different. A year ago, you guys were 9-24. Right now, you're sitting at 9-22. And then last year, it flipped. When does it flip? How does it flip?
Hopefully today. I mean, we have a 1:00 game against the A's. I'm going to throw out a pretty predominant left-handed lineup against a right-handed pitcher who likes to spin it and likes to throw the ball to his glove side. Any given day can be the day that it flips. I mean, I've not looked into like the comparisons. I'm not interested in looking in the rearview mirror. I experienced last year, and I'm sure we had this talk last year where I'm saying frustration's starting to sink in. This is unacceptable. We've got to play better. It sounds a little bit like a broken record, but it's our reality where we are right now. If we take that 31 games into today, it sucks. We're not going to have a good mentality for the competition. So, man, I hope it happens today for our players because of the work they're putting in. The staff's trying to find solutions. The fans are tired of the empty games. Totally get all of that. We've got to somehow flush it and come out with a better approach today.
Well, when A.J. Hinch joined us on the Stoney and Jansen program, even if, Scope and Candelaria were playing to where they finished last year, you look at the roster, and historically, obviously, before you got here, I think there's only one guy on the team, a position player, that was drafted and developed by the Tigers, and I think that's just Torkelson right now. When you look at the roster and what's ahead positional players, where is the hope here? I mean, that's what fans are very upset about.
Well, I think it can come from anywhere. I don't know that it has to be perfectly lined up, that you have this savior, so to speak. I know we'll be excited when Riley Green gets healthy. I know we'll be excited when Ryan Kreidler gets healthy. Spencer Torkelson is not going to be a 500 OPS player. But I understand everybody's angst and everybody's frustration. That's a big question for a lot of people. I haven't really dug into the depths of the whole minor league system, but it doesn't matter where they come from. I mean, we added Austin Meadows in a trade, and I thought that was a big boost. Imagine if we didn't have him, where our offense would be. So we've got to figure out better ways and certainly hold ourselves accountable. But hopelessness will not sink into this clubhouse, this organization. I understand the reaction, but we've got so many things we've got to deal with more than hopelessness.
The pitching staff, and we heard from Al Avila yesterday that the conversation you guys had was this is a staff that some other teams, some other franchises would die for. How do you keep them performing at this level? I got to imagine as an athlete. You go out there, you perform well, you don't come away with wins. That's frustrating as a teammate, even though you may have an individually good performance. How do you keep them performing at a high level in waiting for the bats to fire up?
Sure. No, we're in this together now. You'll not see our team separate. You'll not see the finger pointing. There's going to be a time, and nobody believes it right now because of the way we've swung the bat, but where our offense carries us and our pitching wobbles a little bit. It's the nature of 162 games. But I think the players are in the trenches together. I think they understand, and there's a lot of pride in our pitching staff on what we're doing to keep us there. I think it's part of adds the frustration is these 3-2 losses, and the lack of offense has made all of us feel like they're winnable games that we should be winning at a higher clip. So I do like the way our pen is throwing the ball. I think our rotation has done well. We've asked some young kids to come up and get their feet wet. Bo Brisky, Alex Faedo, both have pitched very well. Joey Wentz had a tough night last night. We'll get healthier in the rotation and get a little bit better, but I also think it's their job to control what they can control on that side of the ball. It's a little, I guess, again, not to bring football into this all the time, but the offense versus the defense. Like when you have the killer defense and the offense just can't score, you still got to tackle, you still got to cover the receivers, you still got to keep points off the board.
How are you doing through all this? I know a lot of fans are sitting there saying, why doesn't he go crazy and do this and all this kind of stuff? Do you ever just scream at these guys and, when you go home, or you throw things at your wall? And how are you handling all this?
Well, I don't think screaming at people is really ever effective. I think I'm not that. That's not my personality. Right. I know that's what people want managers to demonstrate. And we talk to these guys. I had my piece with the umpire the other day. I don't need to be visibly angry for people to be satisfied with my passion. I mean, these are sleepless nights. They're tough. It's not good. I have to answer the same questions over and every night. That's my job. You sign up for the good times and the bad times. I'm not loving this. Obviously, I think it's a situation that we need to resolve. We need to find solutions. We can all sit back and grab your adult beverage and tell everybody about what the problems are. I got to spend all my energy on solutions and not reactions. That's how I operate. It's how I operate in good times. And there's going to be better times, but hopefully that it starts today.
I know that Manning and Mize are both progressing in rehab. Is there anything that you could share with us about their progress in healing up and returning to the roster?
Yeah, Mize is pitching 2 innings today in AAA, and Manning will follow with 4 innings tomorrow. Manning is ahead of Mize when it comes to his return. Generally speaking, and we could always change our mind, we'd like to have 5 ups in somewhere in the 70-75 range before we deem a starting pitcher ready to come back. That means it's a couple more starts for Manning. It means Mize is at the beginning of that build up. You'll see Matt Manning before Mize if all continues the same. And what I was encouraged about with the shoulder issue with Manning is he was up to 97 in his first stint for 3 innings last start. That's a good sign. That, again, velocity is not everything, but it does tell us a little bit about freedom and confidence and his readiness to compete at his highest level. He's not governing his velocity. That's a good sign. Mize is just starting. We need it to go well today before we can start to build his ramp. But it's pretty obvious when you're like 2 innings and then 3 innings and then 4 innings and beyond.
All right. AJ, thanks a lot. Speak to you soon. Hopefully the bats can get hot once.
You got it. Today can be the day.
All right. Talk to you later. That's AJ Hinch, manager of your Detroit Tigers.